Hello, in this video I'd like to show you how to graph the transformation of one of our basic functions. Now the first thing I would like to point out is that with all the basic functions you've looked at this point in time, you will find that they all contain the point 0, 0. When I'm talking about the point 0, 0, you will see me referring to it as what I like to call the key point. And when I'm looking at the transformation, I will often focus on where does this particular key point end up going. So be watching for me to use this phrase throughout this video. Okay, so let's start with an example. Suppose that I give you the function f of x is equal to the square root of x plus 2 and then minus 3. When we first look at this particular function, the first thing you want to take a look at is what is the basic function. So the basic function that we are looking at in this particular function f of x is the square root function. And what I'll often do is I will start by looking at the basic sketch of that on my graph. So notice that the basic function will have that point 0, 0 that I talked about earlier. And then if I take a look at just dotting it in, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so now I have the basic shape of the graph that I'm looking at. The next thing I want to take a look at is what are the transformations that are taking place. Well, you might notice that I have this plus 2 underneath the square root. So the plus 2 is actually impacting the x value here. It is underneath the square root bar, and so it's impacting the x, and if you recall, the plus 2 will actually shift the graph to the left 2 units. So I have a shift left 2 units. Now if I take a look at the next number in here, the 3, and it's actually a minus 3, you want to remember that that minus 3 will shift the graph down 2 units. Or 3 units, excuse me. So what I can do with these two shifts now is I want to focus in on my key point here of 0, 0, which is right here, and I want to look at applying the two shifts to that particular point. So if I'm going to shift left 2 units, 1, 2 will bring me over here, down will be 1, 2, 3. So the key point is now going to be located at the coordinates. If I look at that, those are the coordinates -2, -3. And so that is the starting point for my square root shape. Now, before I sketch in the entire graph, which will be something like this, I want to get a better sense of exactly where the graph is going to be. So I want to find another point. So the third step here is to find another point to accurately sketch it. Now, knowing approximately where the graph is going to be, that it's in this location here, is very helpful because I can pick an x value that will then give me another coordinate. So one of the things I look at up here at the function is I've got to take the square root of something. What would be a nice number to plug into x that would allow me to take the square root very easily? Well, what about if x is 2? I know what the square root of 4 is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let x equal 2 here. And then I can evaluate the function. So f of 2 is going to be the square root of 2 plus 2 minus the 3. So that's going to give me the square root of 4 minus 3, which is going to be 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. So I've now found a second point, and that point has the coordinates of 2, that's what I plugged in, and a y-coordinate of negative 1. So if I look at where I've sketched my graph here, here's the value 2, here's negative 1. I now know this is another point on my graph, and now I can more accurately sketch in the actual graph that I am looking at for this particular function. So these are some steps you can go through to accurately get a sketch of the graph.